I want to talk about a movie I watched last night. I want to talk about it because it was just alarming. It's alarming because Gerard Butler, what happened to you? Gerard Butler's been in some bad movies, and I've got Abby Cornish up here. I've loved her for a long time, but let's be honest, her taste in what she does in movies. I've got Sucker Punch up there because I'm not going to claim that she hasn't been in a bad movie before, and yet Sucker Punch is a guilty pleasure for me. I actually enjoy it. I think it's a good movie. But but do not watch it with the director's commentary on, because if you watch it that way, you're going to hear how cocky the director was about the film, and he doesn't seem to get why it bombed. And Ed Harris, one of the best actors, and he's got this cheesy, barely hidden agenda as the bad guy in the movie. Is anybody surprised? Ed Harris, the spoilers. This whole thing's gonna be spoilers. Anybody surprised he's the bad guy? No. All right. Um, 2019. Dutch boy controls the climate. Yeah, Dutch boy. That's what they call this series of satellites that prevent storms. We don't really get into how all of that works, and I think if we got more into the mechanical side of it and how you could actually control storms, it reminds me of the old Kate Bush video Cloud Busting, which is a beautiful little video about a boy and his father. And Kate Bush's character is supposed to be a boy in the video. A boy and his father, and this machine that he builds that can control the weather, and the government decides they want to use it for their own nefarious purposes, so they steal father away. That's a great idea for a movie. This isn't. And Hollywood gets obsessed with this whole disaster flick thing. Do they understand how Yellowstone works? Because if you want to do a movie about an actual huge disaster, which could very well happen, then find some scientists who tell you how an explosion at Yellowstone would work and do that. Never understood why they don't do that. Or why they don't make a movie about the sinking of the Bismarck. My God, the greatest story of history in World War II is the sinking of the Bismarck. The movie was made for a $120 million budget. And here's where I have a problem. Jerry Bruckheimer eventually ends up on board with this and tried to save it. But when you're throwing $120 million at a movie, which comes from Dean Devlin, who wrote it, produced it, directed it, and his daughter, who simply asked, he was talking to her about climate change, and she asked, couldn't we build machines that stop climate change? To which my answer would be, no, go to bed. But he decided he'd go through it and make a movie out of it, which made $221 million worldwide. And this is where budgets come in. So you look at a movie that makes $221 million, the budget's $120 million, and you go, okay, so it made $100 million. That's pretty good. But it lost $74 million because you've got to remember advertising budgets are huge. And there's other overruns that occur after the movie. The budget of the movie just tells part of the story, so you have to at least double it. At least double it. You double the budget, and that's how much money the movie has to make back minimum to make it to break even. So if you have a $200 million movie, it has to make $400 million before it makes any money, which is ridiculous in my eyes. 15 million of that budget came in reshoots after advanced screenings said the movie wasn't very good. So they show the advanced screenings to some select audiences. The select audiences come out and go, wow, that was bad. So they're like, okay, we're going to fix this. Now, I don't know what they fixed. Couldn't find that. They didn't fix enough. Yeah, so after neutralizing a typhoon in Shanghai, Gerard Butler gets replaced by his brother. I don't care that his name's Jake, so I'm not putting Jake on the board, even though Gerard Butler's more letters. Doesn't matter. Then some dude gets ejected into space in 2022, and then Gerard Butler's brother sends him to not the ISS. I think it's really interesting that they have this huge space station for the climate. It's the International Climate Space Station. So I'm like, okay, so it's just not the ISS, but it looks sort of like it, and it feels sort of it's not the it's not just not the ISS. And you have some explosions, and that's when stupid gravity takes place. That's what that's doing up here. He's out in space, and he's got this his backpack malfunctions, and he's flopping around out there and flying around. And right there, I'm like, so he's dead. And then he grabs onto this cable, And what really gets me, okay, my favorite moment in the movie is he gets this cable, right? And he's out. He's at the very end of the space station. He's so far away. You cut to the next scene, and he's sitting there with the television. It's like, whew. It reeked of a really bad Saturday Night Live sketch or something. Like, I waited for him to say, "Man, I would love to regale you guys with a tale of how I got back into this space station. It's amazing." But I'm not going to. And then wink at the camera. Because it was ridiculous. You're spending $120 million. Show us how he got back to the space station. But it doesn't matter. Apparently, space stations, their solar panels are just completely glass. And if you touch it with your hand, they just shatter and break. And there's glass everywhere. And at no point in the movie do they go, all that glass floating around in space, probably going to kill people and probably going to come around again and hit a space shuttle or something. Garbage in space is lethal. And they don't really discuss that because it's stupid gravity. And then we get to the point where, so you find out Ed Harris is the bad guy, surprise. And it's sort of like, there's certain actors, you see them and you go, oh, all right, you're the bad guy. Michael Ironside, he shows up in any movie. He could be standing there with flowers and skipping through a field and big smile on his face. And you're like, he's going to rip somebody's head off. He's the bad guy. And Ed Harris in this movie just reeks of that throughout. And you find out, and that's dumb. And it's like, well, we have to have a safety shutdown for Dutch Boy. It's stupid. What awful. Oh, God, no. You have to. So, we have to have kill codes for the satellite thing out in space. And he goes, the kill codes are the president. So, the bad guy gives up his plan entirely. And I thought, when I realized he's the bad guy, and thankfully the guy can walk past a bullet, we'll get to that. I thought, well, wait, Ed Harris could be lying because he's not just going to give everything up just to some dude. He's not going to give up his whole plan. But then I thought to myself, but it's a stupid movie, so he kind of sort of does, right? This is when you lie. This is when if you want to, I don't even understand what he was. So he wanted to be the president. He's the Secretary of State. And he decides, well, the only way to become president is if I kill everybody in succession to become president. Okay. Does nobody else suspect you of it, I guess, because all these satellites are going to kill the... How does he know that everybody in the line of presidency is necessarily gonna die? How does he know they're not just going to get injured, or they might just get buried under rubble, and then they come out and they're okay, and he's not president yet, so now he's going to go back and do it all over again? Stupid movie. It doesn't matter. And it's giving me a headache just thinking about it. And then when they try to make when the kill they kidnap the president because see you got to kidnap the president so you can get. And they even have a line in there where they go, okay, so the president, it's his fingerprints and his corneas, his irises or his corny irises are what you use to open the kill codes and make it shut down. And Gerard Butler's brother goes, well, we're not going to take his eyes and his fingers, are we? And I thought, this is a stupid movie. You might as well. So they kidnap the president, and it takes like 5 seconds for them to explain to the president what's happening. And the president's like, oh, all right, well, I'll come along willingly then. But remember, they've kidnapped him at gunpoint in front of people. So now they're being chased by stupid people. Because it's a movie for stupid people. And I don't mean that if you watched and enjoyed it, you're stupid people. I just mean it's made the characters, everybody, all of it in there. It's just stupid people. And why does the space station have a self-destruct? So see, they do the kill code. And then there's this self-destruct. And why is there always a flashing red light? Like, I would be nervous if I was on a space station and there's a red light and I know it looks like that flashing red light and I see like some big caution sign. I'd be like, what is this attached to? And somebody goes, self-destruct. I need to go home. And then I even said out loud while I'm watching the movie, why does the space station have a self-destruct? Remember, this isn't Star Wars or Star Trek. It's not the Enterprise. This is supposed to be 3-4 years from now. Why does the space station have a self-destruct? And a secondary character in the movie who's going to get sucked into space probably did. I don't remember if he was the one that got sucked into space or if it was somebody else. Numerous moments where people got sucked into space that just made me go, wait, no. Like for instance, guy gets sucked into space, all the air goes out with him, and then there's ice on the glass. Ice forms on the glass on the other side where there's now a vacuum. Whoever made this movie doesn't understand how vacuums work. So there's nothing there. Where did the ice come from? I want to know where you want to make your movie, make it about where that ice came from, each particle. So why does the space station have self-destruct? Well, Gerard Butler, Spartacus from 300, says that well, it has a self-destruct just in case it was going to crash into the Earth, which sounds great until it doesn't. Because now, instead of just being one piece coming down to the Earth, now it's going to be 100? Well, it should burn up then. Then Max, the brother of Gerard Butler, outruns a bullet. So he's opening a door to go in, and Ed Harris gets a gun because he's got his gun here because he's Secretary of State. So of course he's got a gun here. It's the States, right? Everybody's got a gun. So he pulls the gun out and he's got it right aimed at the back of the brother's head. And faster than you can yell, "This is Sparta," or much slower, I should say. He turns, sees the guns pointed at him, gets out of the way and shuts the door, and then Ed Harris pulls the trigger. It is the worst marksmanship I've ever seen in a movie. Ever. And it was hilariously bad. Where and again, you could have absolutely done a Monty Python kind of thing with this. You could do a Monty Python thing with this whole movie and make it amazing. Where, oh, you plan to shoot me? Very well then, and then shut the door. Well, that was rude. Bam, shoot the door. Something along those lines. Nah, no. And not only that, but Ed Harris is shooting a gun at this guy in a non-private area. Like, it's still relatively public, and after telling him the plan. And then the useless special effect pieces. So there's a shot in, I think it's Dubai, where there's a tidal wave coming in, and they show this tidal wave coming in, and that's just it. That's it. And they have like just these like a jet freezes, falls out of the sky, hits the ground where there's this girl in a bikini top running away from the falling jet down the street, because that's where you want to be with a bikini top. And then she just sort of like hits the wall, and she just covers up like this, and there's seemingly ice flying everywhere. There would have been glass and steel too, and honestly, the plane, you'd have fire or something. No, and they just show her, and you never see her again. It's like they look at Day After Tomorrow, and they look at 2012, and they go, well, they made money. And anyways, last second escapes. Okay, Hollywood needs to stop these, because every time you see a clock counting down, you know absolutely nothing of consequence is going to happen until there's 5 seconds left on that clock. And in this movie, even more so. So they have an Armageddon moment where the two bros are talking. It's like, hey, bro, too bad you're in space. Bro, I'm stuck in space. Bro, why can't you get out? Bro, I can't get out. I'm stuck in space. I'm just here. Bro, that sucks. Bro, I'm going to die. You're a lot like Bruce Willis. And then that's where that scene really summed up. And again, Abby Cornish can do better. Gerard Butler can do it. The guy can act, can't he? A little bit. Again, the release date, whenever you see a movie's release date getting pushed back repeatedly, it's bad. And in this movie's case, it was pushed back from March 25th, 2016 to January 13th, 2017. Any movie released in January sucks. With very few exceptions, January is where your Warner Brothers and your Sony and all these other picture companies they just dump the movies they know aren't going to do well. People don't go to the theater as much in January. It's kind of a dead zone for movies. They dump the ones there that they know aren't going to do well. They knew this movie wasn't going to make money. My issue with it is this. There are so many, just the plot holes, and just you see something crazy happen on the screen and without any kind of context. This huge mega tsunami, which looked fake. The falling jet from the sky, which looked fake. All of this stuff, which doesn't look very good, but also you don't have any dramatic interest in what's going on. It's just stuff that happens. And it's just an hour and a half of stuff that happens isn't... And this movie goes on too long. That's the other problem I had with it. It went on for too long. It's weird. And not only that, but it's slow for a disaster movie. And the other trick is this: there is no geostorm in it. They stopped the geostorm. So this whole idea of this worldwide catastrophe, which I don't know how satellites would create a world. I don't. And I watched it, and I'm still like, I don't know how the logistics of this are so stupid. And if the government can just do all of this, then you don't have to fight wars anymore, because the satellites can win the war for you in about 10 seconds. The and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is where the concept of Space Force comes from, but maybe. And I know, it's a concept that apparently both the Russians and the Americans are looking at potentially. And sometimes I wonder if they sit down and they watch disaster movies, and somebody somewhere said, could we do that? You think? Oh, he could give it a shot. Uh, it's strange. It's very strange, and it has a rating on IMDb of 5.3 out of 10, which I think is high. But that's the problem with the movie too. The other thing I want to recommend is if you're looking for a bad B movie to just laugh at the whole way through, this isn't it. There is so much dialogue and stuff's just not happening, and then like there's weird crap that happens, and you go, wait, what? You're not laughing at it. You're kind of like baffled. It has a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 14%. 67% of the audience liked it. 49% of the audience said they'd recommend it to people. I assume it's because of the special effects. I assume it's because, yeah, sure, it's January. Go ahead and go out and see it. There's nothing else out there right now because it's January. They had expected it to make 10 and a half, maybe 12 million during its opening weekend, and it made 3. And it just dove from there. So, I wanted to do a video on this because this is why disaster movies drive me nuts. Roland Emmerich has really kind of ruined any disaster movies. I think I'm trying to think of the last disaster movie I've really liked. There was an earthquake movie in the mid-70s that I thought was okay, but it's kind of cheesy too. And the original Poseidon Adventure. That's how far back I have to go to find one. The original Poseidon Adventure is kind of amazing and fun, and it's something completely different, and there's moments where you're genuinely scared for the characters and you care about the characters. This movie is just, it's weird. These two brothers have different accents. Was it ever explained in the movie that one of them has a different accent than the other one? They're brothers, right? Is that why they didn't get along? Because they had different accents? And then like there's a weird scene where it's like he gives a veiled message to his brother, and he's like, "Oh, our father never took us fishing. This means I got to do this, and I got to look at this." And it's like, it's so weird. So there you go. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, especially if you saw it, because I'm just bewildered. And again, the only reason I'm doing this review by myself is because it was on late. Yvonne didn't have the energy to stay up and watch it. And I don't think she would have made it through it. I think it was too stupid. And boring. You can have stupid, you can have boring. You can't have both. And this movie, it seems to have both. And it's too bad because, again, you take Ed Harris, Gerard Butler, and Abby Cornish, you put the three of them in a movie, you have a really good movie, you've got some fantastic acting there. And in this movie, I wonder. It's one of those things where I sort of wonder, were they thinking this was going to be another 2012, another like Emmerich style hit at the box office while they know the movie isn't very good, or did they think while they were making it, you know what, this movie is actually going to be really entertaining? I always wonder that with actors. Do they know that they're on a bomb, or did they think, yeah, this is going to be good because they haven't seen enough footage, or maybe in a movie like this that's so heavy on special effects, maybe they're like, you know what, special effects are going to be great for this. This is going to be fun to watch. And then maybe they're like the rest of us, that they watch it and they go, what the hell's going on? Why? No, this is stupid. I can't believe I'm in this. Be interesting to see actors and actresses actually talk about a movie like that. The problem is, of course, the last time I can think of an actress or an actor talking against a movie, Jim Carrey did it with Kick-Ass 2. He was right. on some level. It wasn't for the violence that I didn't like it. I just didn't think it was a very good movie. Um, Katherine Heigl with Knocked Up. She didn't want to promote it. She didn't want to talk about it. And that movie, okay. I think for her it was just a matter of she didn't enjoy making the movie, so I think she just trash talked it after. But is there a segment of the acting community that would love to trash talk movies after they're in them and they can't? A good fun way of doing it, of course, is Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool making thinly veiled remarks, or not even thinly veiled, just completely flat out making remarks about Green Lantern. And those are fun too. All right, it's been 20 minutes. I'm going to let you guys go. I just wanted to discuss how little I learned about science watching this movie and how much I may have forgotten. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. It's a disaster. It's a movie. I don't know how much of a disaster movie it is. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.